What's going on there, YouTube, and welcome back to another comic book video. This is the channel where we sit down and cover different comic book stories from different comic book companies. Today, we're going to jump back over to DC Comics, and we are going to do a full story video. A full story video is when I sit down, take a bunch of smaller videos that tell one overarching storyline, combine them together to make one big video. Today, we're going to do Batman Hush. Now, Batman Hush is a fan favorite storyline. Matter of fact, I actually love this story so much, but this is Batman Hush, and I did 3 videos to cover all the issues of this event. So I do hope you enjoy today's comic book video. And if you do, hit that like button down below and subscribe. But here we go. Begin today's story by picking up with Batman himself going through some building trying to take down a couple of random thugs. We do get told by Batman that these guys he is taking down are highly trained people. One of them is an ex-CIA agent, another one is a mercenary, another one is known being one of the best hired muscles in Gotham, and the last one is an ex-IRA agent. And to Batman, this group is expensive to hire, but we see him taking these guys down before the FBI and the DEO steps in. He is trying to save a hostage, and the hostage is a young boy who was kidnapped recently. And we learn that the young boy was kidnapped and held hostage for ransom. Whoever took the boy wanted to be paid in millions of dollars. Now, of course, Batman gets to the boy and begins the process of trying to get out of there with the boy, only to run into Killer Croc. And this is where you have Batman and Killer Croc do battle. Now, while Batman is fighting Killer Croc, he didn't realize that there is no way Killer Croc could have been behind all of this. That Killer Croc is not smart enough to have planned the kidnapping to get the money he wants so bad. That someone else must have been behind all of this. Now, Killer Croc left the boy with the team of mercenaries to go get the money and return to see Batman trying to get away with the boy. We also learn why Killer Croc needed the money for, because he was going to use it to find a cure for his mutation. But while Batman and him are fighting, a third person appears and takes the money. Now, Batman does not realize that the money was taken until after he defeated Killer Croc, and after the FBI and the DEO teams arrived at the scene. That's when he realized it was Catwoman who took the money that Killer Croc received for the ransom. And so you have Batman give chase after her, and while he is chasing her, he realized that something is off about Catwoman. Because back when his story was coming out, DC made Catwoman a legit good guy, or trying to lead her down the path of becoming one. And so with her trying to steal the money, this is destroying the idea of her being a good guy. And so Batman knows something is off with her if she has gone back to stealing again. Except while he is chasing her, that is when someone cuts the string to Batman's grappling hook, making him fall out of the sky. Unable to shoot another grappling hook or catch onto something quickly as he is falling out of the sky, we see our hero crash land on the ground hard, which we know he is going to have major injuries, except we also see some thugs getting ready to surround the Batman. Now, Catwoman realized that Batman is no longer chasing after her, and to her, she thinks that maybe she lost him. But we see her go to this penthouse to deliver the money she stole from Killer Croc, where we learn that she is here to give the money over to Poison Ivy, leaving us wondering, why is she working with Poison Ivy now? This is where we pick up with Batman still knocked out after falling out of the sky, but being surrounded by a bunch of thugs. And one of these thugs is planning to kill Batman because, well, It is Batman. Now, even though Batman is knocked out, he had put some protective devices hidden in his suit to keep people from doing him harm. But of course, with him being knocked out, his suit is sending readings to Barbara Gordon. At this point in DC Comics, she was known as Oracle. And since she was shot by the Joker and left paralyzed, she works for the Bat family kind of like their eyes in the sky. She is able to get them information that is needed for them to complete their goals. And so she calls out for someone in the Bat family to help out Batman. Of course, the one person who answers the call is someone who is actually not part of the Bat family, and she is kind of frowned upon by the Bat family. Well, really just Batman, because to him, she is too violent and unpredictable. But it is Huntress, whose real name is Helena Rosa, who was a daughter of a mobster, and her whole family was killed, and so she became a vigilante. But she was the one to answer Oracle's call and protect Batman from the thugs. After she beat the thugs up, she puts Batman in the Batmobile, which is on auto drive, to head back to the Batcave, where Oracle is hoping Alfred can be the one to save Batman's life. But we see as the Batmobile is leaving, someone was watching the whole scene. He watched while Batman fell out of the sky, and Huntress had to protect Batman from those thugs. We then get a one-page setting where we see Poison Ivy meeting up with someone to hand this person his or her half of the money, except we do not see this person at all, and this mysterious person disappears just like that. This is where we jump over to the Batcave, where we see Alfred is trying to save Batman's life, because we come to find out that Batman has a head injury from the fall, and so Alfred is trying to do his best, but the kind of help Batman needs, they need to call in an actual surgeon. And that is when you have Batman use his fingers to give Morse code to tell Alfred to call up his old friend, Thomas Elliot. This is where you had the story retcon and tell us that Bruce Wayne had one best friend growing up. That person was Thomas Elliot. And Thomas Elliot grew up to become one of the best brain surgeons in the world, the only person who could save Bruce Wayne's life. Now, as the story progresses on, we're going to learn why we have not seen nor heard of Thomas Elliot before. But we then jump back over to the present day, where we see Alfred and the Bat family were able to make up some kind of story to cover up why Bruce Wayne needs a brain surgeon, but also to protect his secret identity as well, stating that he was in a horrible car accident, and then they called in Thomas Elliot to save his life, and as a way to bring him into this story, where of course you have Thomas Elliot able to go in there and fix up Bruce Wayne. And so now Bruce Wayne is back to almost perfect health thanks to his old friend. But when word got out that Bruce Wayne is going to live, that there are news articles covering Bruce Wayne's recovery, we see our mysterious person from earlier who was watching over Batman being saved by Huntress get upset that Bruce Wayne survived. This is where we pick up with Batman the next day, or even a couple days later, where we see him at Arkham Asylum visiting Killer Croc, and Batman wants to know who is truly behind the hostage situation from the beginning of our video, because again, to Batman, Killer Croc is not smart enough to plan all of that. Now, Killer Croc told us earlier that he needed the money for the cure for his mutation, but we learned that the mutation is actually slowly evolving his brain, where soon he will only think like a crocodile and no longer like a human. Now, Killer Croc does break out of his prison where he does battle with Batman. Now, Batman does not try to defeat Killer Croc. He actually lets Killer Croc win and escape Arkham Asylum, because Batman is going to follow him and hope it will lead him to whoever is behind all of this. And then Amanda Waller's team will move in and recapture Killer Croc. Now, we do find out that Thomas Elliot, the man who did the brain surgery on Bruce Wayne, went to Wayne Manor to visit Bruce. But of course, Bruce is not home. because Bruce Wayne is out being Batman right now. And so you have Alfred tell a lie to Thomas Elliot about where Bruce is, but this does lead into another flashback for us. This is where we learn when both Bruce Wayne and Thomas Elliot were young children, Thomas' parents got into a car accident. Just like Bruce Wayne was earlier in our video, we find out that Thomas' parents needed a brain surgeon to save their lives. Now remember, Bruce Wayne's father, Thomas Wayne, was a brain surgeon, and so he was called in to save Thomas Elliot's parents. Now Thomas was really worried about his parents. He really thought that his parents were going to die. But young Bruce Wayne promised Thomas that they were going to make it, because to Bruce Wayne, his father was the best surgeon in the world. Except after promising that his father is going to save Thomas Elliot's parents' life, you have Bruce Wayne's father come out and tell Thomas that he was unable to save Thomas Elliot's father, but he did save his mother, where this leads to Thomas being upset at Bruce Wayne because Bruce Wayne promised that both parents would make it. This leads us back to the present day, where we pick up with Batman in his Batmobile following Killer Croc to whoever could be behind all of this. Except that is when you have someone shoot out one of the tires of the Batmobile. Of course, leads to Batmobile flipping over and crashing. Now to Batman, this should not happen because the Batmobile tires are bulletproof, meaning that whoever shot it out knew exactly where to shoot at, and so this worries Batman even more. But we pick up with Killer Croc meeting up with Catwoman. Now this is where we learn that they both were being controlled or were tricked by Poison Ivy, that Poison Ivy used her abilities to control the mind of Catwoman, which explains why she was stealing again for the first time in a long time. Apparently Killer Croc and Poison Ivy were somewhat working together, but not really. But Killer Croc thinks that Catwoman has the money because Poison Ivy was able to send word to Killer Croc while he was in Arkham Asylum that Catwoman has the money. And so of course it does lead to battle where Killer Croc might end up killing Catwoman. Except you have Batman jump in and stop him before he is able to do that. But after stopping him, you have the story really show us that Killer Croc just wanted the money for his mutation. That is it. But he is captured by Amanda Waller's team and taken back to Arkham Asylum. Now we pick up with Batman 6 days later, and he still has not found any clues about what is really going on and who is behind all of this. And to him, the only thing he knows that his prime suspect is Poison Ivy. And so Batman has to find her, but this is where you have Catwoman confront Batman about how she wants to work with him to find Poison Ivy because Poison Ivy took over her mind. Now this was the story that truthfully began the relationship of Batman and Catwoman in the post-crisis era. There were other stories, but this was the one that really took it to the next step. But you have Batman and Catwoman kiss, which now Batman's mind will be all over the place because now he will constantly think about Catwoman while still trying to figure out who is behind all of this. This is where we pick up with Bruce Wayne in Metropolis because Batman found out that Poison Ivy is here, and so he basically bought a ticket and flew over as Bruce Wayne hoping to find her. Now Catwoman will be here, just right now she is coming here in a different way because Catwoman does not know that Batman is Bruce Wayne just yet. Now you have Bruce Wayne run into his old friend Thomas Elliot at the airport of Metropolis, which of course launches another memory from Bruce Wayne's childhood, where we learn that Bruce Wayne's father brought Bruce and Thomas Elliot to Metropolis, but while being in Metropolis they ran into the first Green Lantern, which was Alan Scott, and he was part of the Justice Society, a bunch of heroes who were around before Batman and Superman became heroes. But while being in Metropolis, they saw Alan Scott fighting against one of his villains, and it was just a cool memory for the two young boys, which was really just a way for Bruce Wayne and Thomas Elliot to plan hanging out again as friends down the road. Now we pick up with Bruce Wayne going to the Daily Planet. At this point in DC Comics, he owns the place. Also because Bruce Wayne aka Batman is close friends with Clark Kent aka Superman. And so this is bringing in Superman into the picture now, where you have Bruce walk in, talk to everybody at the Bugle, including Perry White and Lois Lane as well. But the reason why he came here is to use Lois' computer to talk to Oracle, because they are still looking for Poison Ivy, where the flower that she used is common to find, except LexCorp is using the flower in a new way to make it hard to trace people down. And so Bruce leaves the Daily Planet to go to LexCorp. But we pick up with Bruce in his Batman outfit at LexCorp, who is currently being run by Talia al Ghul, the daughter of Ra's al Ghul. But the reason why she is running LexCorp is because at this point in DC Comics, Lex Luthor was the president of the United States of America, and so he left his company to be run by her. Now Batman and Talia had a past relationship, but of course did not work out. But she does not help with how he can find Poison Ivy, and so Batman just leaves LexCorp in a hurry. Then the story shifts over to Catwoman finding Poison Ivy in the middle of Metropolis, where you have Catwoman confront Poison Ivy hoping to get revenge for Poison Ivy controlling her mind, which of course leads to the two of them fighting against each other in the middle of this penthouse. Except this leads to Batman stepping in and thinking he can wrap everything up here and now. But see, the problem is that Poison Ivy has a secret weapon, and that weapon is someone who lives in Metropolis and could wreck almost anyone in his path. That person, of course, is Superman. And somehow Poison Ivy was able to get Superman under her control. And this is where we are going to end today's video. And so guys, please leave me a like down. Now today's video starts off where our last video left off at, where we found out that Poison Ivy has somehow been able to get Superman under her control, meaning that right now Batman and Catwoman have to fight against Superman now. And so you have Batman grab Catwoman and go somewhere else underground to give them a moment for Batman to plan something to stop Superman. And this is where we see them go into some underground tunnels that run under Metropolis, where we see Batman pull out a kryptonite ring. And so we know Batman has some kind of plan up his sleeve. Now we see Batman send Catwoman away to go grab someone that can help them get Batman back to normal. After Catwoman leaves to go and complete her part to stop Superman, you have Superman appear, and this leads to a big battle between the two characters. Now of course, we do get a few pages of Batman beating down on Superman, using a bunch of different gadgets to help him get the edge on Superman. But all of this is being done by Batman to lead Superman to the surface of Metropolis, because remember, Batman sent Catwoman away to grab someone that can make Superman snap out of his trance that Poison Ivy put him in. And so we come to find out that Catwoman had kidnapped Lois Lane, Superman's true love. Batman knows that Superman would drop anything in the world to save the one woman he loves. The world could be falling apart, and Superman will rush to save Lois Lane every single time. And so, of course, when Catwoman throws Lois Lane off the building, it instantly snaps Superman back into his senses. He saves Lois Lane, and that leads to him and Batman talking about how reckless that was. But thanks Batman for helping him get back to normal. This leads us over to Batman and Superman finding out Poison Ivy's new hideout since the last one got wrecked by Superman, just by using their secret weapon to find out where she was hiding. That secret weapon is Crypto, the Superdog. And so he was able to find her, and then you have Catwoman just come out of nowhere and knock out Poison Ivy. This leads to Superman and Batman just talking to each other again and having a bro moment here. Except once again, you have someone watching Batman and Superman and gets upset when Superman and Batman call each other friends, making it seem like Batman must have done something to someone he used to call a friend. Now, the story jumps forward a couple days later, where we pick up with Bruce Wayne meeting up with Thomas Elliot at the opera. Remember, in our last video, these two made plans to hang out with one another. And this was their plan. When Bruce arrived, he sees Leslie Thompson and Catwoman there. Now, Leslie Thompson is a character we talked about before. She is a character who helped Bruce Wayne through the trauma of losing his parents when he was young. And she knows that he is Batman. But she also tried to show Batman that it is wrong to recruit kids into his crusade against crime. She tried this by faking the death of Stephanie Brown, who was Robin after Tim Drake. Now, Catwoman is there because she is Leslie Thompson's date for the night because they are best friends. And this leads to them watching the opera, and they think this is going to be a normal show to watch. Except the lead actor starts to act differently, and that is when we come to find out that Harley Quinn disguised herself as the lead actor, just so she can steal from everybody who attended the opera. And you of course have Harley Quinn confront Bruce, Leslie, and Selena in Thomas Elliot private box, where she tries to make them give everything they have. But Harley Quinn sees Thomas Elliot necklace and she wants it. But this launches another flashback from the childhood of Bruce Wayne and Thomas Elliot, where the two of them got into a fight over the necklace of Thomas Elliot, where we find out that the necklace was given to Thomas by his mother, and so it is something special to him. At this point, it is even more special because Thomas Elliot's mom is dead at this point. And so when Harley Quinn takes it from Thomas Elliot, he of course goes after her to get it back. Now, in the middle of all of that mess, Bruce Wayne dipped out so he can change into his Batman outfit and take on Harley Quinn. This, of course, leads into a battle between the two characters, but while they are fighting against each other, something from the stage falls on Bruce Wayne's head, which makes him completely stop. Because if you remember in our last video, Bruce Wayne needed brain surgery because of his fall in our last video. And so with him being hit in the head with the prop set, it makes him stop in place. Luckily for Batman, Catwoman was there as well, and Selina Kyle changed into her Catwoman outfit to help out. And so you have Catwoman take Batman's place in the battle with Harley Quinn. Except the way it's being told to us, Harley Quinn is too fast for Catwoman. And so this ends up with Harley Quinn shooting Catwoman in the shoulder, and now Batman has to stop chasing after Harley Quinn to check up on Catwoman. And he just hands her over to Leslie Thompson because she is a doctor and can take care of Catwoman while Batman goes after Harley Quinn. Now remember that Harley Quinn took Thomas Elliot's necklace, and so right now he is chasing after her to get it back, which of course Harley Quinn makes it hard for him to catch her, and Batman is trying to catch up to them before something bad really happens. And of course, when he gets outside, that is when Batman hears a gunshot, which makes Batman panic. To make things worse, when Batman gets around the corner to see what had happened, that is when you have Batman see the Joker holding a gun and Thomas Elliot on the ground dead, making it seem like that the Joker just killed Thomas Elliot. Now, this makes Batman just go full rage mode on the Joker because the Joker has caused so much pain in Batman's life. Remember, the Joker shot Barbara Gordon and left her paralyzed, and right now Batman is thinking about her while he is beating down on the Joker, because right now the Batman is thinking about killing the Joker to finally end this madness that surrounds the character. Like Batman is choking out the Joker, hoping to kill him. Except that is when you have Harley Quinn step in and try to stop Batman from killing the Joker, since at this point she was still kind of the sidekick to the Joker. She has not stepped away from the Joker just yet, but Batman beats her down to remove her so he can continue to beat down on the Joker. And while he is choking out the Joker, Batman starts to have more flashbacks of Barbara Gordon. Batgirl brought a lot of happiness in his life, in her own life as well, only to end up being shot by the Joker. This leads to Catwoman stepping in, hoping to stop Batman from making the biggest mistake in his life. She knows Batman is not a killer, and if he does, it will change him forever. Except right now, Batman is having flashbacks now of Jason Todd, who was killed by the Joker. The death of Jason Todd has always been heavy on Batman's shoulders because Jason Todd was full of rage and had no skills as a Robin like Dick Grayson. But Batman was hoping he could help Jason, and it led up to Jason being killed by the Joker. Then this led to Batman knocking out Catwoman, but after doing that, he starts to think about how the Joker could end up killing Catwoman as well in the future if they do become a couple. This leads back to Batman continuing to choke out the Joker, and the Joker is still trying to tell Batman that he is innocent, that he did not kill Thomas Elliot, that someone set all of this up to make it seem like the Joker was the one who killed Thomas Elliot. But you have Jim Gordon step in and try to stop Batman. Now, Jim Gordon should be down to kill the Joker, since the Joker shot his daughter Barbara Gordon. At this point in DC Comics, the Joker also killed Jim Gordon's wife as well. And so to Batman, Jim Gordon should let him do this. Except Jim reminds Batman that if he does, he will end up basically like the Joker. And so you have Batman snap out of it and let the Joker go. And you have the Joker say again that he is innocent. Now we once again see that someone is watching Batman. This person watches Batman do all of this to the Joker, leaving us to believe that this person is the one who really killed Thomas Elliot and made the Joker look bad. After all of that had happened, we pick up with Bruce Wayne, Dick Grayson, Barbara Gordon, Tim Drake, Alfred, and Selina Kyle at the funeral for Thomas Elliot, where really this is just Bruce Wayne giving a speech about his best friend, showing how hard it is for him to go through another loss in his life, that he had to bury so many people in his life while being Batman. Kind of sucks for him, really. And so you have the funeral go as planned and people leave as usual. Then after the funeral, we pick up with Batman in the Batcave trying to figure out who killed Thomas Elliot. This is the point where Batman knows the Joker is innocent. And when Nightwing comes to check up on Batman, you have Batman tell Nightwing that the Joker is actually innocent. That there must be someone out there with a new trick trying to get at Batman, or someone new is trying their hand at Batman, hoping to actually win against him. Now you have Oracle step in on their conversation through their communicators to tell the both of them that the Riddler is out on the loose again. Now of course you have Nightwing and Batman go out there to stop the Riddler, which at first this may seem like something minor because it is the Riddler, and the way the story is showing the Riddler off, this just seems like a usual night for Batman and Nightwing. Except when Batman and Nightwing stop the Riddler, you have Batman start to think how all of his other villains got involved in this huge thing that has been going on for a few weeks now in Gotham. That is when you have Batman use his special lens to see traces of ashes from the Lazarus pit. And this tells Batman right off the bat that Ra's al Ghul is somehow involved in this. Now, to close off this video, we get a couple pages where two things are happening at the same time. We see Joker in Arkham Asylum and being confronted by our mysterious character, while we see Batman meeting up with Catwoman. And this is where we see for Batman, he is letting Catwoman into his private life, trying to start a relationship with her. And we see him tell her that he is Bruce Wayne, which is huge, and she accepts him for who he is. Then we also see that our mysterious person tells the Joker who he really is, that this is Harvey Dent, aka Two-Face. Apparently, someone was able to fix Two-Face's face, and so now he looks normal again. And this is So picking back up with Batman Hush, we actually pick up with Batman about to break into a Lex Luthor airplane. Reason why is because in our last video, Batman found out that maybe Ra's al Ghul could be behind everything. The problem is that you just cannot simply confront Ra's al Ghul. He's hard to find, also hard to get a chance to have a conversation with him. And so Batman's idea is to kidnap Ra's al Ghul's daughter, Talia al Ghul. Remember, since Lex Luthor became president, he let Talia run his company. And so that's why she's on a Lex Luthor airplane, and why Batman is trying to break into it, to simply just use her as a way to make her father mad and come after Batman. Of course, when Batman gets back to his Batcave, word has already gotten to Ra's al Ghul that Batman kidnapped his daughter, and Batman finds a sword stuck in his computer. Now to Batman, this means that Ra's al Ghul is here, and Alfred could be in danger. And so you have Bruce Wayne run up to the manor only to find Alfred is okay, which is weird because why break into the Batcave only to leave? And so to Batman, that means that Ra's al Ghul is waiting for Batman back in his home country. Now we pick up with Jim Gordon, who's at home asleep, except while he's in bed asleep, he wakes up to find someone broke into his home. And this is where we find out that the person who broke into his home is no other than Harvey Dent. Remember, in our last video, we found out that someone repaired the face of Harvey Dent, and so he is no longer Two-Face really. We also learned in our last video, he was the one who was supposedly watching Batman from the shadows this whole time. Now the reason why he is talking to Jim Gordon is because they used to be close friends, except now they are not, because Harvey Dent became Two-Face. But Harvey is here to ask for Jim's help because he says Batman is going to need their help. But getting back over to Batman, who found Ra's al Ghul, where of course the two of them began battle. Now Ra's al Ghul tells Batman that if Batman wins the battle, Ra's al Ghul will give him some clues that could help him figure out who is truly behind all of this crazy stuff. And so you have the two of them do battle, and it does last for a few pages. And you have Batman win the battle, and this leads to Ra's al Ghul telling Batman just one thing, that someone in Batman's life died and had came back to life. That is someone that Batman wishes that he can bring back to life, who is behind all of this. Now, while Batman was fighting against Ra's al Ghul, we come to learn that Batman locked up Talia in some hidden place and had Catwoman watch her to make sure she does not escape. Which honestly, if Talia wanted to escape, she can, because Catwoman cannot stop her at all. Except while they are chilling in this room, this is when Lady Shiva appears, and she is this character who is like one of the best assassins in the world. And so if she comes after you, well, that means you are going to die. Of course, Ra's al Ghul sent her to go save his daughter, and this is where we see her fight against Catwoman. But this is Catwoman, who is a good fighter, but not on the same level as Lady Shiva. And so, of course, the outcome is where Lady Shiva defeats Catwoman. But while the fighting was going on, you had Talia able to break free from her binds, and where she saved Catwoman from being killed by Lady Shiva. Honestly, it was just a sucker punch kind of move. But after a while, Batman arrives to find Talia and Catwoman, except Catwoman is still knocked out. Where you have Talia tell Batman that she was able to give herbs to heal Catwoman. But this is where Talia learns that Batman is in love with Catwoman and wonders if he's going to sacrifice everything for her. And Batman says yes. Now, the story does jump forward maybe a couple days later, where we pick up with Batman in the Batcave with Catwoman, showing that Batman is allowing Catwoman into his life even more now. Except while they are working together to fix the computer that Ra's al Ghul broke, Tim Drake Robin appears, and this begins a battle between the two of them because Robin does not trust Catwoman. Because the whole time Tim Drake has been Robin, all he knows is that Catwoman is a thief. And so when he comes to the Batcave and sees her, Robin tries to fight her. Now Batman stops them from fighting because he wants these two to work together. This is where we see Batman tell us how much he cares for both Selina Kyle and Tim Drake, where Tim Drake is the latest Robin, and Batman tried his best to keep Tim from becoming Robin, but it still happened. And so Batman is trying to make sure that this Robin does not die like the last one. But Batman tells Robin that Catwoman knows that Batman is Bruce Wayne, which is huge, and Robin does not like it at all. But Batman tells him it was not his choice to make. Now Catwoman leaves and she takes one of Batman's motorcycles because she can, I guess. And this is where we learn that Robin attacking Catwoman was part of a plan. That Robin put a tracer on her because Batman believes that maybe Catwoman could be involved in all of this. Now, while Catwoman is out in the city on one of Batman's bikes, this is where we see Catwoman get attacked by Huntress, and this begins a bunch of things to happen in a matter of a few pages. Now, Catwoman pulls over to see why Huntress is trying to kill her, and this is where you have Huntress start to say a bunch of things like she took the money, how her being nearby Batman when he fell was not a coincidence, that her being there was part of the plan, making it seem like that she was part of this huge long plan that our mysterious character planned out. And so to Catwoman, she's confused about what is going on with Huntress. And this is where we see Batman has been watching this fight the whole time. That apparently for him, he knows what is going on. And he knew this would happen. And so you have Batman step in to help Catwoman out with Huntress by handing her some kind of potion that can cure Huntress. Because we learn that Huntress is under the influence of Scarecrow, the villain who is based around the idea of ejecting fear into people. And so for Batman, his goal is to now stop Scarecrow and bring him in and figure out if Scarecrow is behind all of this or just part of the master plan as well. Which of course, Scarecrow is just part of the master plan. The goal was to bring Batman to a graveyard site and then hit him with some fear toxin to make Batman go a little bit crazy. But that is not the main goal. It is just something to be used to get Batman ready for the big surprise. Now, after Batman is able to subdue the Scarecrow, this is where someone calls out to Batman, and we see our mysterious character once again. Now, this is where the story gets more interesting, because earlier we learned that our mysterious character was supposedly Two-Face, that Two-Face's face was healed, and he planned all of this apparently. Except we learn that is not true. You have this person pretending to be our mysterious character take off the bandages to reveal that it is Jason Todd, the second Robin who has returned back from the dead to get revenge against Batman. Now, there's a good reason why Jason is holding Tim Drake hostage right now, and that reason is because Tim Drake took his spot, and so did Jason Todd. Batman just moved on and replaced him with Tim Drake. And now for Tim, he does get lucky because you do have Catwoman come out of nowhere to save him from Jason Todd. And so this gives Batman and Jason Todd the chance to do battle. And so now we get to see the second Robin, who was killed years ago but somehow came back to life, fight against his old mentor. Now this fight is pretty cool, but you have Jason Todd talking mad smack towards Batman, basically just throwing smart remarks towards Batman, but at the same time saying things to remind Batman that he failed, that Jason Todd's death is on him, and it is actually getting to Batman. And we even see him telling us that when Jason Todd died, Batman thought of putting Jason in the Lazarus pit to bring him back to life, except he knew if he did, it would cause so much trauma to the brain, and he just left it alone. But you have these two fight for a few pages, except you have Jason Todd run away. Of course, you have Batman follow him, but Batman still having doubt that this person calling himself Jason is really Jason Todd. Now, this second round of fighting does last for just a couple more pages, but this is where we learn that this is not Jason Todd. We learn it is Clayface pretending to be Jason Todd. We find this out because at the end of the fight, you have Clayface just melt away and just leave the jacket he was wearing, letting Batman know that Jason Todd is not alive. Well, not yet. But the point is, Batman tells Tim Drake that he knew it was not Jason Todd, only because there was clay on the ground, and so that let Batman know that it was Clayface, and that is it. But you have Batman walk away from Tim Drake to talk to Catwoman. Really, it is just Batman talking to Catwoman about how Huntress could have been part of this master plan to whoever behind all of this. Now you have Catwoman tell Batman she does not like the idea of him not trusting her all the way, where you have Batman tell her he does, and he leaves because he needs to find Huntress, and she could lead him to whoever is behind all of this. But this leads to him visiting Oracle, and where we see Batman telling Oracle to find Huntress, who stole one of his motorcycles, the same one that Catwoman stole earlier to be exact. But this is where you have Oracle ask Batman what made him think about Thomas Elliot after his fall in our first video. And Batman tells her it is only because he is the best brain surgeon in the world. Except you have Oracle state that those thoughts were implanted in Batman's head. And this is where we learn that Batman found something a while back in his computer and had Oracle look at it. Except she says what she found was some kind of tech to make Batman think of Thomas Elliot, and there is only one person who can do that. This is where we learn who put that tech into Batman's computer, where we come to find out it was Harold. Now Harold was this character from the 90s who was a hunchback guy who was also mute, except was amazing when it came to technology. But when Batman goes to confront him, we learn that he is no longer mute and he is no longer a hunchback anymore. Someone healed him, completely healed him, but before he is able to tell Batman who did it, Harold is shot and killed. And where we see Batman is confronted by our mysterious character, and we're just going to go ahead and call him Hush at this point. But this leads into Batman and Hush fighting against each other, and this is the last chapter of the story, and so everything is going to end here in this chapter, and you have Batman trying to figure out who is Hush. The last person he saw in a trench coat was Clayface pretending to be Jason Todd, except Batman knows it is not Clayface, it must be someone else, and he is guessing and guessing but unable to figure out who it is. Except that is when you have Hush talk about the night Thomas Elliot's father died. The night Bruce Wayne's father tried to do brain surgery to save Thomas Elliot's father's life. except he failed. But you have Hush state in a way that he is Thomas Elliot, that he wanted both of his parents to die that night, and so he can get all of the money. But Bruce Wayne's father saved Thomas Elliot's mother, letting her live longer. But we learn that Thomas Elliot made his mother sick so he can get rid of her. Now, she had cancer, but I would not pass it by. Thomas Elliot somehow gave his mother cancer. Now, Hush is able to get the upper hand on Batman by blowing up the Batmobile, which knocks out Batman. Now, Hush's game plan is not to kill Batman just yet, except take him back to Arkham Asylum to have everyone unmask Batman. But that is when you have Jim Gordon appear and try to stop Hush before he is able to do anything, and then Harvey Dent appears as well. Except Harvey Dent shoots Hush twice in the chest and Hush falls into the river. And this is the first time Batman is finding out that Two-Face's face was repaired. But Batman dives into the river to find Hush, only to see the body has been washed away somewhere else. And so you have Jim Gordon take Harvey Dent into custody for shooting Thomas Elliot. But you have Harvey tell Batman that Thomas Elliot did not die earlier by the Joker in our last video. It was Clayface again, pretending to be Thomas Elliot. The reason why Harvey Dent knows this because he was the one who shot the fake Thomas Elliot in the alleyway earlier. And we do get a one-page setting where Huntress meets with Catwoman. And we learn that Huntress was not really helping Hush out. That Hush came to her and gave her money, told her it was to help upgrade her equipment, and he was just a concerned citizen. And when she checked him, he was a clean, innocent person, and so she was tricked, and then the Scarecrow messed her up even more. Then we see Batman in the Batcave with Superman, where he tells him everything he has learned so far, even the part where a computer program was put into his computer to make him think about Thomas Elliot. But you have Batman tell Superman to use his X-ray vision to see if there is some kind of tracer on him. And there is one. It was placed by Thomas Elliot when he did brain surgery on Bruce Wayne. And so that is how Hush knew where Batman was always at. We then see Batman go to Arkham Asylum and tell us that Hush was not the only person behind all of this. And we learn that the Riddler was also behind all of this as well. That him and Hush worked together to do all of this. That Riddler knew how to move pieces in the right spots to keep Batman guessing. But we learn this all started when Hush told the Riddler that he had brain cancer and he was going to die. But Riddler found one of Ra's al Ghul's Lazarus pits, used it, and then basically it healed him from his brain cancer. But it changed him, made him see things differently. And so that led him and Hush to work together to plan everything that happened to Batman and Batman Hush. But the Riddler knows that Bruce Wayne is Batman. But Batman is not scared of that. He tells the Riddler that he has bigger things to worry about, like Ra's al Ghul, since the Riddler used one of Ra's al Ghul's Lazarus pits without Ra's al Ghul's permission. Now Batman asks why he brought Jason Todd into his plans, and where is Jason Todd's body? But the Riddler does not answer neither of those questions. And the story ends with Batman meeting up with Catwoman, and honestly, it's just them stating that this is not going to work out. They cannot be together, and you have Batman and Catwoman go their separate ways. And this is where we're going to end today's video. And so guys, please leave me a like down below and also subscribe for more comic book videos like this in the near future. Also, any suggestions on books I should read, well please let me know in the comments below, because you never know, your suggestion could be a future video down the road. But guys, I'm out of here and I will see you on the next comic book video. Later guys.